online biology tutorials. In this live of today, I will be explaining you reflex action, reflex arc, what are its various components. So in yesterday video, I have already discussed about the intro to the nervous system, what are the organs, what are the tissues, and what are the names of the cells in the nervous system, what are the two types of the nervous system, how does a neuron or a nerve cell looks like? What is a synapse? In case you have not gone through that video, please be clear with your basics. The initial video that I have recorded yesterday on nervous system will be helpful to class 10th biology and class 11th biology. Similarly, this reflex action video will be helpful to class 10th biology because this is there in their chapter control and coordination. In class 11th biology, there is a chapter on the nervous system. So this will be helpful for both the classes, class 10th and class 11th. So as the screen is clear to you, let's begin with reflex action. So it is a sudden involuntary action. Sudden involuntary action performed by the spinal cord. SC means spinal cord. Now, in case we are talking about the nervous system, so in the case of nervous system, we have two categorizations. CNS means the central nervous system and PNS means the peripheral nervous system. Class 11 students of biology will study one more system which is autonomic nervous system. But for class 10th, this one is enough, central and peripheral nervous system. So central nervous system is further being categorized as brain and spinal cord. So this should be known to you that spinal cord is a part of central nervous system. Why are we saying it as involuntary? Because these are the functions which are not in your control. And the thumbnail might be giving you an idea what are the various situations into which reflex action can happen, right? So it is a sudden involuntary action performed by the spinal cord. Now, the next thing, for Olympiad questions and highly competency based questions, please note it down that midbrain and hindbrain also helps in it. Very important thing. In case of competency based questions, please make it a point that along with spinal cord, midbrain and hindbrain helps, but never forebrain, because forebrain is the part which is concerned with the thinking, memory, intelligence, anything that requires time in processing. So brain's part, forebrain, requires maximum time for processing the information. So this is not going to help in the reflex action, but midbrain, hindbrain, and spinal cord will definitely do. This action has to be performed in quick span of time so that if the situation is critical, then a person can save himself or herself. So this was the definition of the reflex action. Now let's understand what is reflex arc. So reflex arc is the pathway, it's the pathway of reflex action. Pathway of reflex action is known as reflex arc. So what are the various components now of the reflex arc? The first component is going to be stimulus. The second component is going to be receptors, and dendrites, they work as receptors. Then we have sensory neuron. There would be many, that's why I'm writing sensory neurons. Then obviously we'll be having spinal cord, and in the spinal cord we will have relay neuron, and then we will be having motor neuron, and then the last part, effectors. Effectors. So a diagram has been given in the NCERT, which is very important. Any label can be given to you, and you need to identify the part. So reflex arc is a pathway of reflex action, and the components of the reflex action or the components of the reflex arc are stimulus receptors, which are also known as dendrites, sensory neurons, spinal cord, relay neuron, motor neuron, effectors. Let me make you understand all the parts, and then we will understand the complete pathway. So, stimulus is anything which is from outside. So, any change in the environment, for example, right now we have season as summer season going on. So, anything which is quite hot in nature will be an abnormal situation according to the season of summer. So, this will be stimulus. In case you are touching a very hot object, it will serve as a stimulus. And in case of the winter season, in case you are touching something very cold in nature, this will also serve as the stimulus because this is not according to the season. Anything scary is also a stimulus. In case you are facing intense sunlight, this is also an example of a stimulus. In case you are touching a plant and that has um, कांटे कांटे को इंग्लिश में क्या कहते हैं? You can let me know in the chat. Thorns, yes, thorns. So in case you are touching a plant and that has got thorns on it, अगर आप उसे अचानक से touch कर लेते हो, it just slipped my mind and you must be laughing. So in case you are touching thorns, then it will also evoke the reflex action in your body because this is the thing which is not in your control, and immediately your body has to react, otherwise you may bleed at that part where the thorn will penetrate your body. Okay, so stimulus is anything that will produce a sensation in your body. So as I said that all the sense organs of your body, they have got dendrites on them. So none of the sense organ can work on its own. It has to work in control and coordination with the central nervous system, right? So dendrites are the receptors, and if you draw a neuron, the neuron has a structure like this. I hope it is very much clear to everybody. This topmost part is known as the cyton, and these branches are known as the dendrites. These dendrites, they rest upon the entire skin, so they can perceive the stimulus from any part of the body. So dendrites are the branches of the dendrons, and they rest upon our skin, and they help in picking up the stimulus from the outside. As soon as the stimulus is being perceived by the dendrites, an electrical impulse is generated. So this red mark here shows you, is the orientation clear? Can someone please clarify? Is the orientation of the screen clear? Is it portrait or landscape right now? Please let me know in the chat. Asif, are you there? Asif, can you please let me know, is it a portrait mode or a landscape mode right now on the screen? Okay, thank you. So this red mark here on the screen is showing you an impulse, and this is known as electrical impulse. So the impulse will be traveling along the dendrites to dendrons to cyton and then to axon and then to the nerve endings, right? So impulse is generated in response to the stimulus. How is impulse generated? When the information of the stimulus is being taken up by the receptors or the dendrites. So impulse, once it is produced, it is electrical impulse and it travels along dendrites, dendrons, cyton, axon, and the nerve ending, right? Now, as we know that the neurons are connected one after the other. So here I am drawing another neuron for clarity so that it should be clearer to you. Now, as the impulse needs a crossing between one neuron to the another, here this chemical which I am drawing with the help of dots, this chemical will be released, right? Generally, this chemical which is released at the synaptic region is known as acetylcholine. So this chemical is released in the synapse, and once it needs to travel along this neuron number 2, it will again pass on with the help of dendrites, dendrons, cyton, axon, nerve ending. Again, it will come to the third neuron, right? So this is the third neuron that I am drawing right now. Again, the chemical will be released here, and it is known as chemical synapse. Then again, when it will move to the third one, it will again become electrical impulse. So electrical impulse will be passing along, and in the synaptic region the chemical will be released, right? So this way the information which has been perceived by the dendrites will generate an impulse, and this impulse will be passing on from one neuron to another. So it will be passing along dendrites, dendron, cyton, axon, nerve ending, and then follow the same route, right? So these set of neurons which are taking the information from the dendrites and giving the information to the spinal cord, these whole set of neurons are known as sensory neurons. Remember, sensory neurons are also known as efferent neurons. In biology, whenever we are talking about efferent neurons, that means we are talking about such a thing, such a structure which has to carry the information from one place to another, which is being going for processing. Okay, so efferent neurons will be the word that will be helpful for class 11th biology. Class 10 students can just understand sensory neurons. So sensory neurons, what are they doing? They are just collecting the information from the receptors and passing on from one neuron to the another till it reaches the spinal cord for processing. Now, our information has reached the spinal cord. Okay, it has reached the spinal cord. Where is the spinal cord located? Spinal cord is located inside the vertebral column. Now, if you cut the transverse section of spinal cord, it will look like this. And inside, right? Suppose this is the last neuron nerve ending, right? These are the nerve endings of the last neuron, sensory neuron, which has given the information in the spinal cord. Now here, the information will be perceived by a neuron, and this neuron is known as the relay neuron. So this green part is the spinal cord. Inside the spinal cord, we have relay neurons. Relay neurons will be collecting the information from the sensory neurons. And once the information will be processed, then again it will travel, the processed information will reach here, and it will again travel with the help of the another neuron which is known as motor neuron. So again I have made one neuron like this, and this is the nucleus. So this is the cyton part. The branches of dendrites, the branches of dendrons, which are known as dendrites, will be picking up the information. As a result, the processed information again will be traveling along dendrites, then dendrons, then cyton, then axon, then nerve endings. Okay, so this is one neuron that I have drawn for you. I can draw some more for you so that you should be clear how is this information being traveling. So this is another set of motor neuron. So again, information will be coming and it will be passing from this red neuron, which is a motor neuron, then to the green one. Again, this end-to-end arrangement of the neurons is there in the body, right? This is the third neuron that I am making for you. So once the information is going from one neuron to the another. Suppose this one is the last one which has to give the information. Now motor neurons have to give information to the effectors. What are effectors? Effectors are the parts of the body which gets affected by taking the information from the motor neuron. Generally, effector includes the muscles. Effector includes the glands, right? So as soon as the nerve ending is there, it will release its chemical. Suppose it has released the chemical inside the muscles, then these muscles will be doing contraction and the muscle will be moving. And if we are touching a hot object, we will be immediately moving back our hand from that heated iron, right? So you can think about the situation when you touch a hot iron, the information process is so faster and it occurs in the milliseconds. Otherwise, if it would have been required time, then you would have burnt, right? So I have explained the functioning of all the parts. What is the stimulus? What are receptors? What are sensory neurons? What is a spinal cord? It's a part of central nervous system, relay neuron, motor neuron, and the effectors. Now I will be taking an example of touching a hot iron or any hot object, right? So see, if I have taken any hot object, this could be a cup of boiled water in the month of June, say, because June is extremely hot month of India. So in case you are touching extremely hot object, this will produce a sensation in your body, right? So in summers, extreme hot thing, and in winters, extreme cold thing will act as a stimulus. So this hot object will serve as a stimulus. In case your fingers have touched the hot thing, then in the fingers, what do we have? In the fingers, we have dendrites. So in the fingers, we have dendrites, and these dendrites will be known as receptors because they are picking up the information from the outside. So first, the stimulus should be there, and then we should have the receptor. So this is point number one. Then point number two. Then these receptors will be traveling along the information with the help of sensory neurons. Sensory neurons. Sensory neurons are the ones in which neurons are connected end to end because they have to take the information to the spinal cord. So, sensory neurons will be giving information to the spinal cord. In the spinal cord, which neuron is there? Relay neuron is there, and this relay neuron will be collecting the information sent by the sensory neuron, and this relay neuron will be processing the information and will give it to the motor neuron. Only one motor neuron will not be giving information to the muscles or to the glands. There will be a set of motor neurons arranged end to end. So impulse, the processed information again will be traveling in the form of impulse, electrical impulse, and then in the synaptic region, chemical impulse. And this information will be reaching the effectors. In the case of the example that is given in your book, effectors are the muscles. So the finger part which has touched the hot object, only that muscles will be receiving the information, and the information received by the muscles will help in the contraction of the muscles so that immediately we can move our hand back. So there could be n number of situations. Remember, in the exam, if you get any other type of question, you need to think that whether this type of response requires an immediate action or can we wait. In case we can wait and then think about, then it is obviously the work of the forebrain. Suppose I ask you a question and then you think, process, plan, execute, and then speak up the answer. Then this is the work of the brain, which is being done by the cerebrum, which is the biggest part of the brain, right? But in case if it is reflex action, the primary work will be done by the spinal cord. And who assist spinal cord for this reflex action, the midbrain and the hindbrain as well. Remember, for competency for Olympiad, you must know that it is not the solely work of the spinal cord. Midbrain and hindbrain, they help, because there are different type of reflex actions in which work of the different sense organs are required. So some sensory organs reflex action are being performed by the midbrain, and for the other remaining sensory organs the work is being done by the hindbrain. I hope with my efforts you have understood, and if you have understood it previously, then might be I help you in the revision of this reflex action. So this was the topic for today. In case it helped you, do hit the like button. Consider subscribing. I have a lot more videos in the playlist where the complete chapters are being explained to you. Stay connected. See you in next live. Thank you for today.